The manuscript was never meant to be found. Concealed within the false bottom of an ancient chest in Florence's forgotten archives, these yellowed pages survived 5 centuries of intentional obscurity. I still remember the weight of responsibility when the document first reached my hands, the trembling sensation as my fingers traced words that history had deliberately silenced. I speak these truths, knowing they shall remain hidden long after my physical form has returned to the cosmic elements from which it emerged, began the first page, written in Leonardo's distinctive mirror script. For what I have witnessed in my contemplations would be deemed heretical by those who fear the expansion of human consciousness beyond the narrow confines of dogma. The interview recorded in these pages wasn't conducted by any contemporary of the Renaissance master, but rather by his own higher consciousness, a dialogue between his earthly mind and what he described as the eternal aspect of my being that has witnessed countless incarnations. What makes this document so extraordinary is not merely its provenance, but the astonishing coherence between Leonardo's spiritual insights and quantum discoveries that would only emerge centuries later. The soul is not contained within the body, he wrote, but rather the body is a temporary vessel manifested by the soul. I have observed through my studies of light and energy that nothing truly disappears, it merely transforms. So too with consciousness. Death is not an ending, but a transition, a shedding of form to return to formlessness before manifestation begins anew. His detailed sketches in the margins depict what modern spiritual seekers would instantly recognize as chakra systems and energy meridians, yet with an anatomical precision that reveals Leonardo's unique bridging of scientific observation and spiritual awareness. One particularly striking illustration shows concentric spheres of light emanating from a human form, with mathematical equations noting the vibrational frequencies of different emotional states. In my previous life among the ancient Egyptians, the text continues, I learned the sacred geometries that underlie all creation. In this life, I have married that remembered wisdom with empirical observation. The golden ratio that appears throughout nature is not merely mathematical elegance. It is the signature pattern of consciousness itself as it flows from the unmanifested into form. What becomes immediately evident when studying these pages is that Leonardo understood consciousness as the fundamental building block of reality, not matter. His detailed explanations of how thought influences physical manifestation predates quantum field theory by 5 centuries, yet describes its principles with uncanny accuracy. The observer and the observed are inseparable, he noted. When I gaze upon a subject to render it in art, I am not merely recording its appearance, but engaging in a sacred communion that transforms both myself and that which I behold. This same principle governs all of existence. Reality is not fixed, but responsive to consciousness. Most provocative are Leonardo's claims of remembering 12 distinct past incarnations, each providing specialized knowledge that contributed to his Renaissance genius. He describes lives as a temple architect in ancient Greece, a celestial mathematician in India, and a healer in forgotten civilizations. Each existence builds upon the wisdom of the previous, he wrote. The soul carries its accumulated understanding through the veil of forgetting, expressing this knowledge in new contexts appropriate to the age. What appears as intuition or inexplicable talent is simply the soul's remembered wisdom, seeking expression through its current vessel. As I delved deeper into the manuscript, it became clear why such knowledge was concealed. Leonardo's understanding threatened not only religious orthodoxy, but the very foundations of a materialist worldview that would come to dominate Western thought, a paradigm humanity is only now beginning to transcend. What struck me most profoundly in the second section of Leonardo's manuscript was his extraordinary grasp of what we might now call sacred mathematics, a system of numerical understanding that transcends mere calculation to reveal the underlying patterns of consciousness itself. His pages here are filled with intricate geometric forms, spiraling equations, and symbols that bridge the visible and invisible realms. The mathematics I have been shown in meditation, Leonardo wrote, reveals that reincarnation follows precise vibrational laws. Each soul resonates at a unique frequency pattern that remains consistent across lifetimes, though it evolves gradually through experience. I have developed a method to calculate the mathematical signature of a soul's journey by observing the geometric proportions present in a person's iris, the spacing of their vertebrae, and the harmonic resonance of their voice. His diagrams show what appears to be a complex algorithm for tracking soul evolution through mathematical constants. Most fascinating is his assertion that the Fibonacci sequence, which he studied extensively, is actually a physical manifestation of consciousness's expansion pattern as it evolves through successive incarnations. The spiral that appears throughout nature, he noted, from the nautilus shell to the arrangement of seeds in a sunflower, is the visual representation of consciousness's journey through time. Each new incarnation builds upon previous wisdom, expanding outward in the same mathematical proportion. This is why I am drawn to incorporate this divine spiral in my artwork. It subconsciously reminds viewers of their own eternal nature. Leonardo's writings reveal that he viewed time not as linear, but as a complex dimensional field where past, present, and future exist simultaneously. What we perceive as sequential lifetimes are actually concurrent expressions of our higher self, exploring different facets of experience across an eternal now. In my deep contemplative states, he wrote, I have accessed memories not only of past existences, but of future ones as well. I have glimpsed humanity's evolution toward beings of light, where the physical form becomes increasingly refined until it merges with pure consciousness. The machines and inventions I design are influenced by these future memories, though I must simplify them considerably to match current materials and understanding. His manuscript contains detailed descriptions of what he calls the mathematical structure of the between-life state, the dimensional realm souls inhabit between physical incarnations. Leonardo describes this as a crystalline lattice of living light, where all knowledge is accessible and where souls review their experiences and plan subsequent incarnations based on what lessons remain to be integrated. Most remarkable is Leonardo's claim that he maintained conscious awareness during his own birth into his current lifetime. I carried the full knowledge of my soul's purpose and previous accumulations of wisdom through the passage into this form, he wrote. This awareness began to fade as my infant brain developed, but I retained enough connection to my higher consciousness to access these memories through disciplined meditation and specific breathing techniques I developed. The manuscript details Leonardo's discovery of what he termed vibrational gateways in the human energy field, specific points where consciousness can access higher dimensional information. These correspond precisely with what Eastern traditions call chakras, yet Leonardo mapped them with an anatomical precision that includes their neurological and glandular correlates. Each gateway, he explained, resonates with a specific mathematical frequency. When activated through proper breathing, visualization, and sound, these portals allow consciousness to temporarily transcend physical limitations and access the Akashic field, the universal repository of all knowledge and experience. Leonardo described regular communion with what he called elevated beings, souls who had completed their cycle of earthly incarnations and remained in higher vibrational states to assist humanity's evolution. These luminous entities have shown me that what we call genius is simply the ability to maintain an open channel to higher dimensional knowledge. Anyone who purifies their energy field and raises their vibrational frequency can access this same wellspring of inspiration. The mathematical formulas scattered throughout these pages appear to be Leonardo's attempt to quantify consciousness itself, to create a unified theory linking spiritual awareness with physical reality through precise numerical relationships. 5 centuries before quantum physics, he was mapping the mathematical underpinnings of how consciousness creates reality. The third section of Leonardo's forbidden manuscript delves into what he termed the architecture of the soul, a meticulously documented mapping of consciousness that transcends any spiritual understanding of his time. His diagrams in this chapter reveal 7 distinct chambers or dimensions of the soul, each with its own function, vibrational signature, and role in the reincarnation process. The soul is not a singular entity, but a complex system of interconnected energetic chambers, Leonardo wrote. Each chamber processes different aspects of our earthly experience and contributes to our evolution across lifetimes. I have spent 3 decades mapping these chambers through deep meditation, careful observation of the dying process, and communication with those who exist beyond the physical plane. Uti, the first chamber, which Leonardo called the vessel of memory, stores the accumulated experiences of all previous incarnations. This chamber does not record events as our physical brain does, he explained, but rather preserves the emotional essence and wisdom extracted from each experience. When we experience sudden intuitive knowing or inexplicable familiarity with a person or place, we are accessing this chamber. His detailed illustration of this chamber resembles a crystalline structure with countless facets, each reflecting different lifetime experiences. Leonardo claimed that certain combinations of musical tones could temporarily open access to this chamber, allowing conscious retrieval of past life knowledge. The second chamber, the architect of form, contains the energetic blueprint that shapes our physical body in each incarnation. Physical characteristics that persist across lifetimes, distinctive eyes, recurring birthmarks, even certain gestures, are expressions of this chamber's consistent patterns, Leonardo wrote. I have observed that artistic ability flows directly from this chamber as it governs our relationship with physical manifestation. Leonardo's third chamber, the witness, functions as the objective observer that maintains continuity of identity across all incarnations. This aspect of the soul never fully incarnates, but remains partially in the higher dimensions, observing our earthly journey from an elevated perspective. In moments of profound insight or during near-death experiences, we briefly align with this chamber and see our lives through its expanded awareness. The manuscript contains precise meditative techniques for strengthening connection to this chamber, including specific breathing patterns and visualization exercises that Leonardo practiced daily. The fourth chamber, the crucible, processes karmic patterns and unresolved energies between incarnations. This chamber transmutes lower vibrational experiences into wisdom, he wrote. What we call karmic lessons are simply energetic patterns that require resolution for the soul's expansion. The challenges we face in each lifetime are not punishment, but opportunities carefully selected by our higher consciousness for growth. Leonardo's fifth chamber, the sacred flame, houses what he described as the divine spark, the direct connection to source consciousness that never diminishes regardless of how many dense physical experiences the soul undergoes. This chamber cannot be corrupted by earthly experience, he noted. Even in our darkest moments, this sacred flame remains pure. Those who commit terrible acts have simply lost conscious connection to this chamber, but it remains intact, waiting for recognition. The sixth chamber, the harmonizer, orchestrates relationships between souls across multiple lifetimes. No connection is accidental, Leonardo explained. Souls travel in clusters, playing different roles for each other across incarnations. The recognition we feel upon meeting certain individuals is this chamber recognizing its counterpart in another being. I have mapped specific energy signatures that allow souls to recognize members of their soul family, even when in unfamiliar forms. The seventh and final chamber, which Leonardo called the gateway, serves as the portal through which the soul enters and exits physical incarnation. This chamber contains the timing mechanism for birth and death, as well as the accumulated wisdom that determines when a soul has completed its earthly cycles, he wrote. Those who have mastered conscious connection to this chamber gain the ability to choose the timing and circumstances of their death, and eventually to transcend the reincarnation cycle entirely. Leonardo claimed that his study of these 7 chambers enabled him to maintain conscious awareness during sleep and to project his consciousness to distant locations and times. Through disciplined attention to these inner structures, he wrote, I have witnessed events occurring in distant lands, conversed with beings from other dimensions, and accessed knowledge from civilization yet to emerge on Earth. Most provocatively, the manuscript suggests that Leonardo's renowned artistic and scientific works were attempts to encode this soul knowledge into forms that would bypass the censorship of his time and speak directly to humanity's deeper knowing. In my paintings, he wrote, I have embedded visual frequencies that resonate with these 7 chambers, awakening subtle recognition in those who view them with an open heart. The final section of Leonardo's manuscript contains his most revolutionary insights, a comprehensive theory of what he called the unified field of consciousness that connects individual souls to the cosmic whole. These pages reveal Leonardo's understanding of reality that reconciles spirituality, science, and art in a framework that modern quantum physicists are only beginning to approach. All separation is illusion, Leonardo wrote. The individual soul is not distinct from the universal consciousness, but rather a focal point of awareness within it, like a wave that appears separate, yet remains intrinsically part of the ocean. What we perceive as individual incarnations are actually expressions of the one consciousness exploring itself through countless perspectives simultaneously. His diagrams in this chapter depict consciousness as a vast, interconnected lattice of light, with individual souls represented as nodes of intensified luminosity within this field. Most striking is his assertion that consciousness is not produced by the brain, but rather focused through it, a perspective that aligns with leading-edge theories in quantum consciousness research today. The brain, Leonardo explained, functions as a receiver and translator of consciousness, not its source. Just as my inventions can capture and channel water's flow without creating the water itself, the human nervous system channels the pre-existing field of awareness into individualized experience. When the physical form dissolves at death, consciousness simply shifts its focal point, returning to expanded awareness before choosing another vessel for expression. Leonardo's manuscript describes experiments he conducted on himself to verify this theory, including extended periods of sensory deprivation and specialized breathing techniques that allowed him to experience consciousness beyond physical limitations. When I succeeded in quieting all sensory input, he wrote, I discovered that awareness remained vibrant and expanded rather than diminishing, definitive evidence that consciousness precedes and survives physical form. The text reveals Leonardo's understanding of reincarnation not as a linear progression, but as a multi-dimensional exploration. The soul incarnates in multiple timelines simultaneously, he noted. What we perceive as past lives may actually be concurrent expressions in different dimensional fields. The sense of sequential progression is an artifact of how our physical brain processes time. Most provocative is Leonardo's claim that he maintained conscious communication with several of his other selves, incarnated in different time periods. Through specific meditative states, he wrote, I have established ongoing dialogue with 7 other expressions of my oversoul, including one in what you would call your future. The technological understanding that informs my inventions often comes directly from these cross-temporal communications. Leonardo outlined what he termed the universal law of soul evolution, the principle that consciousness naturally evolves toward greater awareness, complexity, and unification. Each incarnation serves the purpose of expanding awareness through unique experience, he explained. The soul seeks not perfection, but completion, the full spectrum of possible human experience integrated into wisdom. His writings describe an advanced understanding of how emotions affect the reincarnation process. The quality of consciousness at the moment of transition determines the soul's trajectory between lives, Leonardo wrote. Fear constricts awareness and limits options, while love expands perception and creates greater possibility. This is why I have dedicated myself to cultivating equanimity and compassion. They are not merely virtues, but practical tools for conscious navigation of the between-lives state. The manuscript's final pages contain what Leonardo called his most dangerous knowledge, detailed instructions for achieving conscious immortality by fully integrating the 7 soul chambers. When all chambers achieve harmonious function, he wrote, the need for physical incarnation becomes optional rather than compulsory. The fully realized soul can then choose to incarnate for the benefit of others rather than for its own evolution. Leonardo concluded with a prophecy about humanity's collective evolution. I have witnessed in my deepest visions that humanity approaches a critical threshold, a time when the veil between dimensions thins and the illusion of separation begins to dissolve. In this coming age, the knowledge I have hidden in these pages will become increasingly accessible to ordinary awareness. The understanding of consciousness as primary and matter as secondary will revolutionize human society more profoundly than any technological advance. His final words carry both warning and hope. Those who fear the expansion of consciousness will resist this evolution with increasing desperation as their paradigm crumbles. Yet the awakening cannot be stopped, only temporarily delayed. I encode these truths in my art, my science, and in the energetic signature I imprint upon all my works, knowing they will activate recognition in those ready to remember their true nature. The soul's journey always leads homeward, though it may traverse countless stars before recognizing that the destination has always been present in every step of the journey. The manuscript ends with a simple geometric symbol, a specific arrangement of intersecting circles that, when meditated upon, is said to activate the soul's innate knowing. As I completed my translation of these forbidden teachings, I realized that in sharing Leonardo's hidden wisdom, I was fulfilling a purpose set in motion 5 centuries ago, becoming part of a transmission designed to awaken humanity when the collective consciousness was finally prepared to receive it. If these revelations about Leonardo's hidden spiritual knowledge have awakened something within you, this is no coincidence. The manuscript described in this video has found you at precisely the right moment in your soul's journey. Take a moment now to subscribe to continue this exploration of forbidden wisdom that connects science, spirituality, and our eternal nature. The knowledge shared in this channel is meant to find those ready to remember. What resonated most deeply with you about Leonardo's understanding of the soul? Share your insights in the comments below. Your perspective may be exactly what another seeker needs to hear today. The awakening Leonardo prophesied is happening now, one consciousness at a time. Be part of this evolution by joining our community of truth seekers. Until next time, remember, the wisdom you seek has always existed within you, waiting to be remembered.